and welcome to the Financial Fox. I have my little puppy with me today. And by the way, I hope you are all well and had a great, long, relaxing weekend. We are back on the stock market news today with a review and some more insight into Union Jack Oil's final result just released this morning. Union Jack Oil is a hydrocarbon production, development and exploration company focused on UK onshore and listed on the London Alternative Investment Market under the ticker UJO. So I will be joined by the Executive Chairman, David Bramhill, and the Business Development Advisor, Zac Phillips, to discuss the results. Hi, David. Hi, Zac. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Very good, thank you, Stefania.
Well, that's good to hear. It's a pretty crazy time with this COVID-19 pandemic indeed. Although it looks like Union Jack has been able to carry on business as usual with no real impact.
Yeah, we've been very, very lucky. You know, first thing I will say is, you know, we've been moving forward, but it's a terrible shame with what's happened. You know, not a shame. It's about an understatement. You know, let's just hope that we can overcome all of this. You know, as the United Kingdom and the world, really, it's just terrible. Well, you can't say anything else, can you?
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, David, back to the result published today. The chairman's statement is positive and encouraging. Would you like maybe to recap the results outlook, what you have achieved over the last year and the plan for the rest of 2020, particularly where you see the gross production numbers for Union Jack?
Well, on the, you know, it's a long question to answer, but it's one of the best chairman statements I've been able to write with all my history of being involved with companies. A lot of things have come together this year and last year, which obviously the results were all about. We've had a very, very nice discovery at West Newton, which we know is definitely gas, but there's also a massive oil leg underneath, which we still need to test. We've had permission both from the HSE and the EA, Environment Agency, and we're ready to roll as soon as possible on that, as soon as we can get the kit onto site. We've had the permission given after all these years to bring the Wressle discovery into production, which is going to be a company changer for us. You know, 137, 140 barrels of oil a day, even at what my guess when it comes into fruition and flowing the first oil in October this year. What will the oil price be? Who knows? But it could be, you know, it's jumped from almost negative, which was an anomaly anyway. That was due to future contracts. But a price of $18 up to $30 in about 2 weeks. That's good progress. So it wouldn't surprise me, you know, when everything happens, that we're looking at a decent oil price. And Zac can give his view on it. He's done all the calculations and the works, and it will be transformational for us for cash flow. So that's just one of many things. Maybe Zac, you'd like to speak about Wressle and the you know, politics aside, financially.
Absolutely. I think one of the great things we've got in Wressle is the fact that before year end, we're going to have certainly at these prices a business or an asset that actually sheds cash and allows us and gives us the optionality going forward. In this particular respect, we've got an asset that has a break even of around about $18. It's actually sub $18, $17.62. But I think the important thing is that this is really the culmination of the management team's approach to how they want to create value for the company. And you know, as they always are prone to saying, cash is king. By the time this asset comes on board, it'll right from day one, it'll start generating cash flow at $500 at 500 barrels per day, pardon me, gross. It will generate cash flow even at these prices to allow the company optionality for what to do next. And I think that's vitally important and is really a catalyst for value creation.
So David, let's look at West Newton, which has been hailed as a major oil and gas discovery, one of the biggest ever in this country. Can you give us any indication of the possible production rate in terms of barrel per oil per day?
Not really, because it's still really work in progress, Stefania. We know there's been 2 wells drilled, the West Newton A1, the West Newton A2. The A1 was believed to be a gas discovery. The A2 well was a real surprise. And when I say a surprise, we actually cored that well. And anyone that doesn't know what coring is, I'm sure they do, but I'll explain it briefly. Instead of just drilling away and seeing what comes out of the formation, you actually have the core from a certain section, in this case, well in excess of 30 meters. So you can actually examine, see, test, smell it, feel it, do what you like. You can do so many different tests from this core. And I know that we stopped the well test, we paused it, for want of a better word. And it's taken really all this time to even just suggest that we don't even know what we have in there yet. We know it's a liquid of some sort, whether it's a condensate or an oil. All we can really say on production would be, we know we have a very, very large gas discovery. Whether it's the largest in the UK, who knows? There's still a lot of time and testing to be done. The oil, the condensate, we don't know. I think what happens, we need to do the extended well test, then we move on. At the same time, I'm sure everyone's aware, we're drilling the B1 well, and we're working on site. The drills, the road, the fence, everything is being prepared. And we made a community statement, I believe it's Monday or Tuesday of this week, and it's business as usual. So I think it's just a case of, really this is still a serious, large-scale project, which is going to take some time to deliver. However, as we keep making the steps, it's looking, every day we get results back, and there's nothing that we have seen to deter. We love this project, as do all the partners. And as you're probably aware, we have our own technical team as well.
Yeah.
And we love this. I think we're very, very lucky to be involved in a project of this magnitude. And plus the fact, the figures that were being given by Rattling Energy, who are the operators, as to what may be there, these are offshore figures being found onshore. So, and that's what we're striving for. We've no reason, from what we've seen to date, there's no reason to believe it's anything other but a very, very great project for us to be involved with.
Yeah, and Zac, considering the upside that David just described at West Newton, can you say what the assets might represent for the UK in terms of energy security? I mean, we have got Brexit unfolding, and also the COVID-19 situation has demanded a stronger local supply chain for energy. So this West Newton, if it comes actually to be a really big and valuable asset for the UK, it can be really precious for the country.
Absolutely, and not just in terms of supply security. The thing about assets such as these is that they in themselves actually generate a local economy around them. So we would certainly look to widen that community engagement, and it goes without saying that a project of that size onshore in Yorkshire will generate a significant return, not only for the Treasury, which would help the country, not only provide some form of supply security, but also generate a huge number of jobs locally and stimulate the economy, which of course is good news for everybody, I think.
Okay, let's move on Biscathorpe. David, what is the situation there, and are you still planning a side track this year?
Oh, of course. If it's not this year, it will be early next year. Like, to be totally honest, Stefania, at the moment we've got West Newton, which is full steam ahead. We've Wressle, which is full steam ahead. I'd like to see some progress on there, but with Biscathorpe, it's a particularly pleasing result we've had there. When we drilled the well last year, we were ready to fill the whole thing in with concrete. I can tell you that it was that close to being plugged and abandoned, and everyone walks. Thankfully, we continued. we did more research, we learned more about the well. We actually had an ore discovery in what they call a formation called the Dynantian.
Yeah.
So in a sense, it's a little bit of a delayed reaction, a little bit like anyone that's old enough to remember penny tuppenny baggers on bonfire night. You'd like the thing and it wouldn't go off. This is a little bit like what Biscathorpe is all about, believe it or not. And we've got a great asset there. So we left half of the well, the original well bore, open in order to drill a sidetrack, just in case we did find some well targets within a certain area, we'll say kilometre, 1.5 kilometres. And a French company revised all the seismic. They did hundreds of square kilometres of seismic. And we've been lucky enough to find not just one, but 2 or 3 actual well sites we can go to. So at the moment, where we're at, the companies involved, we're basically doing all our work and checking what the best site would be to aim for. So it's a terrific, a sidetrack will be drilled there. And basically what it's telling you is that the Biscathorpe prospect is still undrilled, which is probably one of the largest prospects undrilled onshore UK. And not do we just have what they call the Westphalian system there, we've also got the Dynantian. So we're going to get hopefully 2 hits for 1 well, which is terrific. It takes a lot of planning, but if that comes in, nobody can tell the future, but it's sure got all the symptoms of being a very, very good well for the future.
Let's move on the other assets. Wressle, you mentioned already that is going to production later on this year. And also we have got Keddington as well, where you just increased your interest. So it looks like quite a nice portfolio, quite diversified as well, but all containing very good projects. They can, most of them can be really game changing for a little company like Union Jack.
Oh, of course. We own 55% of Keddington, and we own another 20% in another producing oil field called the Fiskerton airfield. The situation with Keddington is as you know, we upped our interest in this. There's still another 500,000 to 600,000 barrels of oil left to pull out of there. And again, it needs a sidetrack. Everything it actually has a production license. There's no worries about going to councils, but I think those days with councils, we've a good relationship. Northlinks, I think, was an anomaly. It was a very, very unlucky and sad situation for everybody, actually. But in general, the councils are very, very good for onshore. And as long as you liaise with the community, let the planning officers know what the heck is going on, they're good to you, really. This is we believe thoroughly in onshore UK.
Yeah, and also looking at the Union Jack balance sheet, I would just say that Union Jack is really one of the few junior companies to stay financially robust with over £5.5 million in cash, despite this challenging market, which, thank goodness, really.
Thank goodness, you hit the nail on the head. A little bit down to management and a little bit down to serendipity, I suppose, Stefania. But we've always been, you can never be too rich in a company. And I know that placings go against the grain with some investors, but without placings, you can't invest and you can't buy new assets or grow. And I think we've demonstrated with the amount of money we've actually raised, the actual value of the assets, and not just the value, but the quality of the assets that we have. We've picked some seriously low-hanging fruit, in my opinion, on our projects, down to the skills of Graham Bull and our technical team. This isn't me, and Zac has played a very, very good part because financially he's a wizard, in my opinion, and we know probably more about the people who are selling the assets than anyone else. When we first started this company, we were very, very much, if you take all the onshore companies, and they're all very, very good. I know some people are not happy with some companies or don't like the management of others, but they've all got the same end goal to achieve, to become a half-decent onshore producer. And I know that because we know everybody involved, and they all work very, very hard. I can assure you of that. It may not seem that way to some investors because you get black swan events, you get ill winds happen, things don't all, you know, we're one of the main companies in the very, very early days, or even as soon as early last year, it was an uphill struggle. And then all of a sudden, everything appeared to click, and we believe it has clicked. So we've moved ahead. Now our market cap, when we first started, was about 2.5–3 million. And if you had said to me within 3 years, we can build this company up in difficult times, as you mentioned, with COVID, terrible oil price, and other things hanging around which are not good for the economy. And you know, when you say Brexit, you know, nobody knows what's going to happen there. And last year slowed things down. So our market cap now is about 18 million. You can't predict what's going to happen to share prices, but I'll be very, very surprised if we can add. I really think that market cap is probably very slim for the assets that we have, but understandable. We have to prove up and show that we can bring Wressle into development. So as you mentioned, yeah, our market cap is 18 million. We're quite a high ranking onshore company now, ahead of a few. And as anyone can see, if they care to read from start to finish on the accounts, there's pretty good. There are no bones rattling around in that set of accounts, I can assure you. They're very, very robust. And I'm particularly pleased that we actually got a clean bill of health from the auditor, who they have to look after themselves. Remember, an auditor has to give their opinion, and that's what you're paying for. And in the auditor's opinion, we're a going concern. To actually get that great big tick in the box to be a going concern is quite an achievement in this day and age, especially with this. I vowed I wasn't going to mention COVID in this interview, but I don't see how you can go through without mentioning it. So yeah. With all the things going on, we've I think these sets of accounts are quite robust, and I hope that fund managers will take the time to read and see what progress we've actually made with the company. And this is a team. When I say progress, this is a real team effort. It's not me, the chairman, or pushing this. This is all to do with the people that we work with and deal with nicely.
And I think from the financial perspective, I think what you have to realise is that in the face of what have been quite significant headwinds, to have that underlying increase in asset value, despite the headwinds of the oil price, despite the COVID-19 issues, I think is indicative of two key points. One has been the management approach to mitigating risk, and two has been the willingness to engage with all participants and all stakeholders to ensure that these projects actually get delivered on time, on budget, and if there are any variations in what is seen as either deliverability or valuation, they're clearly and effectively communicated at the time. And I think really transparency is all you can ask for from your management team. Yeah. And I think that this is delivered in spades.
I think you just mentioned very important things about transparency, and I think is something really the Union Jack can be proud of, and not many companies out there, you know, they are focusing on this as a key element. Anyway, David, looking ahead at the next 6 months or the rest of the year, let's say, let's focus on what you are going to deliver. What would you like to progress by the year end of 2020?
Well, if I gave you all that, we'd be here for a long time, and it would read like a fairy story. And if just one of them happens, it'd be terrific. But we know that we Wressle is in the bag. That's being put in production. We've said around about in between H2 sometime. It will be the latter part of H2. It won't be June or July, but any time after that. So Wressle's up and running. We have people working away. Egton of the operator of this, and the reports that we get, as you can read in the report, are very, very positive. Then we have the extended well test. everything. We've had the green light on that. So as soon as we can get everyone onto site and draw and cruise and all the equipment, we've sourced the equipment. It's just a case of getting it all together and checking with the HSE when we can actually move forward. The B1 well, we'll be drilling that, and let's hope that's another extension of the A1 and A2, and plus Keddington. I say we've a nice group of projects to progress over the next year. And what drives an AIM company? News flow. Will we have news flow? Yes. I just hope that it's all very, very good. I have to say that there's always risk. Nothing's ever certain, as you know, and we all know this, but I wouldn't want to swap what we have for anything.
Zac, just to wrap it up, we know the current oil environment, but what are your expectations going forward?
Well, I think the oil market has really either pulled together either willingly or unwillingly. Certainly, the United States is a de facto swing producer, albeit market-driven. OPEC is clearly a swing producer, strategically driven. And what we've seen in the rapid recovery in the oil price is those market elements and those market forces coming together to perhaps put some more realism in the oil price. Of course, what the real problem isn't this year, isn't next year, isn't necessarily perhaps the year after, but it's that medium to longer term where we'll start to see the effects of that decision to scale back investment. And certainly we see a period of elevated oil prices, perhaps even pushing towards triple figures. And from perhaps even a short period of time, if we get a significant boost and recovery in the underlying economy, a period of what I would call a super cycle in the oil price, where we're seeing super 150, perhaps even 150 to $200 oil prices, as those projects that have been delayed, that so-called forward supply attrition, are starting to reveal themselves in the underlying production. Because at the end of the day, oil is a commodity, and it responds to that simple balance between supply and demand. And the supply side, I see, the further out we see in that forward supply attrition is becoming more and more exacerbated. So, we do see a period of elevated oil prices. It is going to happen.
Okay, and on that note, David, Zac, thank you very much for your insight, and let's see the next Union Jack.
Thank you, Stefania. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
So this is everything from the Financial Fox, and I will see you next time. Please stay safe, stay healthy, and protect yourself.